But before we have those in-depth discussions on the program this morning, let's join Beto Bryan of our news desk for the first news bulletin of the day. A very good morning to you, Beto, and over to you.
Hello, Chijoke. Good morning to you as well. Welcome to ADBN News at 7. I am Beto Bryan. In the news this morning, a bill seeking to repeal the Electoral Act 2022 and enact a new Electoral Bill 2025 has passed second reading at the Senate. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, announced the passage during Wednesday's plenary after a majority of senators supported it through a voice vote. Following its passage, the bill was referred to the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters for further deliberation and public hearing. The committee was directed to report back within 2 weeks.
When it comes to electoral matters, because it is assumed that whatever INEC does is perfect. So this time around, INEC must be held responsible because they are the ones that have the electoral materials and they are the ones that are in charge of logistics and all. So we must give them some responsibilities in court to prove that, yes, indeed, their actions were legal and their actions were in tandem with the will of the people. And then I must also commend Nigeria for the improvements in the Electoral Act, that in Africa, we're even the first to submit to presidential electoral victory even before the announcement of the final elections.
The bill, sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Simon Lalong, APC Plateau South, aims to strengthen the legal framework governing elections in Nigeria. The bill was initially presented for second reading last Thursday, but was stepped down to allow for wider consultation. It, however, resurfaced during Wednesday's session, where lawmakers extensively debated its general principles. While presenting the bill, Senator Lalong acknowledged that the Electoral Act 2022 introduced significant reforms, but also revealed certain weaknesses, such as delays in the release of election funds, disputes over voter registers, conflicting interpretations of results transmission, and weak enforcement of electoral offenses. He explained that the new legislation seeks to enhance the independence of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, by installing faith from political interference and governing control.
I think it was a very important omission, and we should try as much as possible to bring all elected members into the delegate list. That's number one. Number two, Mr. President, we must ensure that whatever is the true reflection of the people is what will be announced. The Nigerian people are tired. After how many years of democracy, we are still going to court when people win or lose the election. We should learn from other civilized countries by people no longer going to court. If INEC said that Mr. Senate President that you won, and nobody's going to argue that. So let election be credible. This is an opportunity for you, for me, for everybody here.
During the debate, Senator Adamu Aliero, APC Kebbi North, called for the inclusion of clear provisions on electronic transmission of results. He urged his colleagues to strengthen the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, to ensure transparency in elections. Senator Orji Kalu, APC Abia North, encouraged all lawmakers, including those in the opposition, to work together towards building a transparent electoral process. Credibility of Nigeria's elections has improved since the ruling All Progressive Congress APC assumed power in 2015, but added that more work is needed to achieve full transparency. He thereafter put the bill to a voice vote and the senators overwhelmingly supported it.
Those in support that this bill be now read the second time. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Of the proposed amendments to the Electoral Act is the proposed Electoral Act 2025, which introduces reforms aimed at strengthening Nigeria's electoral governance, enhancing the independence of INEC, and promoting greater transparency and accountability across political and electoral processes. Nigerian Senate is set to amend the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Act to secure better funding and improve road maintenance across the country. The Senate Committee on FEMA highlighted this during the screening of President Bola Tinubu's nominee for chairman of FEMA Board of Trustees. The committee, led by Senator Shahabi Alhaji Yao of Zamfara North, expressed concerns over the continued poor state of the federal roads, attributing the challenge to inadequate funding for FEMA. Senator Yao lamented that despite FEMA's critical role in maintaining the nation's road infrastructure, lack of sufficient funds has hampered effective operations. Responding to lawmakers' questions, Musa Babayo, nominee for FEMA board chairman, vowed to use his extensive public service experience to reform and strengthen the agency's capacity. Mr. Babayo's confirmation could mark a turning point as the Senate works towards amending the FEMA Act to enhance funding mechanisms aiming to deliver safer, more reliable roads for Nigerians. The amendment, once passed, is expected to boost the agency's budget and operational efficiencies towards tackling Nigeria's road infrastructure challenges decisively. House of Representatives has resolved to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate the rising insecurity and recurring loss of lives in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Despite the installation of a $460 million CCTV project financed through a Chinese loan. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Honorable Amobi Oga. The House further mandated its leadership to probe the project and ascertain why such a huge financial investment has not yielded the expected security outcomes.
The House more concerned that despite this huge investment, as well as the financial burden Nigeria is subjected to by way of servicing this loan, the impact of the CCTV is not felt in any manner. Rather than abating, crime rate has soared in Abuja, leading to daily reports of deaths arising from unmonitored crimes around the Federal Capital Territory.
I don't know which feasibility study was carried out to install this CCTV camera all over Abuja without providing security for them, because it has even gone to the extent that criminals sponsor people to sabotage that particular CCTV camera because a proper feasibility study has not been carried out before the establishment of that.
Development, the House adopted a motion by Honorable Ali Issa to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the operations, funding and performance of development finance institutions, DFIs in Nigeria, with a focus on compliance, transparency, accountability and fund utilization over the last 7 years.
Also note that those institutions were created to bridge financing gaps in key sectors, promote inclusive economic growth, stimulate industrialization, create jobs, and provide affordable credit and financial advisory services to individual corporations.
Additionally, the House adopted a motion on the urgent need for intervention on recurrent tanker explosions, fatal accidents, and persistent gridlock along the Bida, Agejie, Lapai, Lambata, Diko Road in Niger State.
Further concern that the continued neglect of this vital highway has resulted in frequent gridlocks, destruction of goods, loss of productive hours, and severe hardship for commuters and residents, while turning the road into a death trap for motorists, tanker drivers, and traders.
House of Representatives has mandated its committees on nutrition and food security, NAFDAC, healthcare services, safety standards and regulations, agriculture and legislative compliance to investigate the alleged use of harmful chemicals as preservatives in frozen foods across Nigeria. This followed the adoption of a motion moved by Honorable Chike Okafor, who expressed concerns that such chemicals used to extend the shelf life of food products pose serious health risks, including cancer and organ damage. In another development, the House urged the Federal Road Safety Commission and the Vehicle Inspection Office to address the backlog in the issuance of driver's licenses and ensure more efficient process. This followed the adoption of a motion moved by Honorable Felix Nweke.
That these chemicals are often used to extend the shelf life of food products, which can be harmful for consumption, cancerous, and damage organs. Concerned that alleged use of harmful chemicals in food preservation further exacerbates the challenges as it undermines public trust in the safety of food storage and threatens the health and well-being of millions of Nigerians.
Also, a bill for an act to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to clarify the taxation powers of the federal, state, and local governments, define the scope of taxes and levies collectible by each tier, and prevent multiple taxation and unlawful outsourcing of revenue collection, passed second reading.
Worry that most Nigerians whose licenses have expired are subjected to using temporary driver's license, which lasts for only 3 months and have to pass through the Herculean task of renewing same every other 3 months while waiting for unending queue for their license to be ready.
Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has suspended its 2-week nationwide warning strike after a crucial National Executive Council meeting in Abuja. President of the union, Professor Chris Pinwuna, announced the suspension, stating the decision followed renewed dialogue with the federal government and the intervention from key stakeholders.
While noting that a lot more work is still required, NEC came to the conclusion that the objective of the warning strike had been partly achieved. Hence, it was decided that the ongoing strike be reviewed to allow for a conducive atmosphere for further engagement between the two parties. The decision to review the action was born out of respect for our students and their parents, the media, the Nigerian Labour Congress, and other well-meaning Nigerians who had mediated in the last 10 days and have continued to do so.
Professor Pinwuna noted that ASU has given the government 1 month to fulfill its commitments on issues including the renegotiation of the 2009 federal government ASU agreement, release of withheld salaries, fundings for universities, and the promotion of academic staff. He emphasized that the suspension does not mark the end of the struggle, warning that the union would not hesitate to resume industrial action if the government fails to deliver on its promises.
Should government fail to resolve the issues within the 1-month window, ASU reserves the right to resume the strike without further notice at all. ASU appeals to patriotic Nigerians and stakeholders in education to prevail on the government to speedily conclude the renegotiation of the 2009 FGN-ASU agreement and other outstanding issues. These outstanding issues, government had promised us when we met with them on Saturday that by today, Wednesday, they will begin to act on them. And we hope that they would remember their words to us last weekend.
Detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has agreed to open his defense, signaling a major shift in his legal strategy. This comes just hours after a failed protest in Abuja led by activist Omoyele Sowore, demanding his release. Kanu, who had earlier challenged the court's jurisdiction, filed a new motion on Tuesday, expressing readiness to begin defense on October 24, 2025. Kanu told the court he would call 23 witnesses, including prominent political and security figures such as General Theophilus Danjuma and Tuko Buratai, Ministers Nyesom Wike and Dave Umahi, as well as governors Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Hope Uzodinma. He also requested 90 days to conclude his defense and pledged full cooperation with the court. Meanwhile, a magistrate court in Abuja has ordered the remand of Kanu's special counsel, Aloy Ejimako, and 12 others over Monday's aborted protest. They were charged with criminal conspiracy, disobedience of lawful order, and public disturbance. The case was adjourned till October 24 for arraignment. French Military Academy, École Spéciale Militaire de Saint-Cyr, has reaffirmed its commitment to deepen collaboration with the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA in education, language development, and tactical training. During a visit to the NDA headquarters in Kaduna, Commandant Lieutenant General Emmanuel Charpi said the partnership would strengthen joint efforts in counterterrorism and regional security. He commended the NDA's high standards in discipline and training, adding that the renewed cooperation would expand cadet exchange and capacity building programs.
System and the one for the army, which I'm in charge of, and the one for the officers. And we are exploring how to pursue the cooperation, and especially in terms of French learning, French language education and learning, because it's important for the interoperability to speak the same language. So in France, I teach, and all the cadets need to learn English. And I'm happy that here the cadets have to learn French so that we can speak together and operate together.
The commandant of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Major General Abdul Ibrahim, reaffirmed the NDA's commitment to international cooperation. He noted that the academy operates a modern language laboratory where cadets are taught French, an initiative designed to improve the communication of neighboring francophone countries and enhance joint counter-terrorism operations.
For training young Nigerians and also other young people from countries that are allied to Nigeria to become junior military officers. So this visit here today is basically, to come and see us, see what we are doing. And what we have shown you today is a typical day in the life of an officer cadet. And again, you must remember that Nigeria is a country that is surrounded by French-speaking African countries, Cameroon, Benin Republic, Chad, and then Niger. So we have a collaboration with the French. We have a language lab where our cadets are taught how to speak in French.
Both military institutions pledged to sustain the partnership through exchange programs, joint research, and future reciprocal visits aimed at promoting global peace and security. They further stressed that cultural and language exchange remain vital components of modern military collaboration.
Another lecturer to go there for about 3 to 4 months so that he will learn more, and then he will come back and teach our cadets. And we also have some of our cadets who are training in France. So basically this visit has to do with training, to see how we can cooperate effectively with them. Of course, the cadets we are training, ultimately, they will go to the field and they will help in the fight against terrorism.
Featured key training facilities including the Academy Branch and the NDA Hall of Fame. It also included live demonstrations such as obstacle races, drill displays, and a cultural dinner held in honor of the French delegation. Commissioner of Police, Federal Capital Territory, CP Miller Dantawaye, has ordered the immediate redeployment of the divisional police officer, Ushafa, following a viral video showing the officer slapping a young man. In a statement, CP Dantawaye described the action as unacceptable and contrary to the core values of discipline and professionalism expected of police officers. He confirmed that disciplinary action has commenced while reiterating his commitment to ensuring accountability within the command. The police commissioner warned that any form of misconduct or abuse of power by officers will attract strict sanctions. He also urged members of the public to remain respectful and law-abiding in their dealings with police personnel to enhance effective community policing. Stakeholders of the Lagos chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC have endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for a second term in office. The endorsement was made during the APC Stakeholders Forum 2025 held at Victoria Island with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, former governors Babatunde Fashola and Akinwumi Ambode, Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat, and other top party leaders in attendance. The motion was moved by Aye Berue of Ikorodu, Oba Kabiru Shotobi, and seconded by the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa.
Today, you can see that as a body, we have come to show ourselves from the various levels. Our President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, was once time the 12th governor in Lagos State. We have listened to all of our stakeholders here today, and by unanimous decision that all of the representatives of the stakeholders on this stage have come to the conclusion that he should present himself by the General House here as stakeholders in Lagos State APC for him to return as our president.
Major boost to Nasarawa State's agricultural transformation agenda. Governor Abdullahi Sule has visited the Angwantashi Jangwa rice farm located in Awe and Obi local government areas to assess ongoing operations. The governor inspected thousands of hectares of rice now ready for harvest, reaffirming his administration's commitment to large-scale food production and self-sufficiency. ADBN's correspondent Mary Ojiji reports.
It was a day of optimism and reflection as Governor Abdullahi Sule toured the expansive Agwatashi Jangwa rice farm, one of the flagship agricultural projects under his administration. Barely weeks after applying fertilizers and herbicides, the farm now stands ready for harvest, a development the governor described as a clear testimony to the success of the state's agricultural investments.
The farm is ready for harvest. We are getting ready to start harvesting in the next 2 weeks or so. But in reality, before we do that, we are going to at least grade the road so that the road becomes motorable for most of the heavy vehicles that are going to be coming in to be taking all our rice. We are also going to work towards getting enough combined harvesters so that once we get the harvesters here, then we can work as quickly as possible and finish harvesting the rice, to take it back to life here.
Governor Sule commended his special advisor on agriculture and other technical experts for their dedication in ensuring the farm's progress. He also disclosed plans to sustain the project beyond his administration by involving local communities and strengthening ownership.
I've made a commitment to them that the moment we finish this harvest, and we are able to see our yield, proper yield, we will come back to actually compensate them properly. In addition to whatever salaries we are paying them and allowances, we will make a special provision or some kind of bonus that we will give to the people, to the community, for everything they have done. So based on that, we want them to take full ownership of this farm, because eventually this is going to be a sustainable activity. We want to keep this farm beyond when we are in office, so that the next government that is going to come will take it over.
Security remains a key concern. The governor was accompanied by the commandant of the Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps to assess safety measures around the farm, a move aimed at protecting both workers and produce during harvest. Farm managers, meanwhile, highlighted major logistical challenges and the urgent need to combine harvesters and a large warehouse in Lafia to store produce.
The farm within the next 1-2 weeks, you are just seeing it, but the moment the Harmattan surfaces very well, it will turn straw. You can see it has started.
Governor Sule reaffirmed his commitment to addressing the challenges and ensuring the project's long-term sustainability, saying the farm represents not just a government initiative, but a legacy of food security, job creation, and economic empowerment for Nasarawa State. Mary Ojiji, ADBN News.
You're watching ADBN News at 7. Stay with us for more news stories and reports after the break.
For your news on the go, ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms. An Avo TV app, ADBN Channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Limexwell TV app. To get the latest news straight to your phone, join our WhatsApp TV channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across social media handles. On X at ADBN TV, Instagram at ADBN TV, Facebook ADBN TV, YouTube ADBN TV. Keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
Welcome back to ADBN at 7. Now the rest of the news. Nigeria's Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuga has called on wealthy nations to engage with Africa through partnerships built on mutual respect and shared development goals, rather than treating the continent as a resource mine. Speaking at the Reuters Next Gulf Summit in Abu Dhabi, Tuga compared some Western trade approaches to the video game Minecraft, where player mines resources from personal use. He stressed that Africa's engagement with the world must focus on development to tackle challenges such as irregular migration and underdevelopment. Tuga noted that Nigeria is the least affected by U.S. trade tariffs due to its vast internal market and diverse trade links with partners such as China and India. He added that the government reforms, including exchange rate stabilization, tax cuts, and past sector liberalization, are designed to attract investment and boost job creation across the country. And on to news sports desk. Nigeria is progressing to the stages of the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Morocco suffered a major setback on Wednesday night following a 1-0 defeat to France. Both teams adopted a cautious approach in the first half, creating few clear-cut chances. The Flamingos made 4 attempts on goal compared to France's 3, none of which found the target. The deadlock was eventually broken late in the game when Marcia Fatalai's low strike bit Nigeria's goalkeeper, Chidi Boniface, in the 81st minute, sealing victory for the French side. The loss leaves Nigeria without a point from their opening 2 matches, significantly denting their qualification hopes. The Flamingos would face Samoa Island in the final group fixture on Saturday. Victor Osimhen struck twice as Galatasaray defeated Bodo Glimt 3-1 on match day 3 of the UEFA Champions League on Wednesday night. The Nigerian forward has now scored 3 goals in 2 matches in this season's competition, continuing his fine form in Europe's top club tournament. Elsewhere, history was made as the 3 teenagers, Mark Guay, Estavo, and Triek George, found the net in Chelsea's commanding 5-1 victory over 10-man Ajax, marking the first time 3 teenagers have scored in a single Champions League game. In Germany, Hugo Ekitike netted against his former club as Liverpool came from behind to thrash Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1, ending their recent losing streak in emphatic fashion. Meanwhile, Real Madrid maintained their perfect start to the campaign with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Juventus, courtesy from a solitary goal from Jude Bellingham. And that's it on ADBN TV News this morning. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258 in Star Times, channel 140, our TV app, Limix World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www.adbntv.com/live. I am Beto Brian, thanking you for watching. I'll now hand you back to Chijike Okafo for the continuation of Morning Express. Stay tuned.
Well, thank you so much, Beto Brian, for taking us through that robust news bulletin. In the news this morning, we start off with the Green Chambers, where we hear that the Nigerian Senate is proposing a mandatory electronic transmission of election results, while also calling on defectors to desist from doing so, citing that it is shameful and disgraceful, while also undermining Nigeria's democracy. Quite a number of topical issues in the news this morning. We'll take a break. When we come back, we hope to open up with newspaper headline stories, and then much later on the program, have our guest here in the studio dissect some of these issues topically. Do well to stay with us. We'll be back with the newspaper headlines.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Hey, Ahmed, did you hear that a meteorite will be landing near our school tomorrow?
Really? That sounds exciting. But Nkechi, where did you hear that?
Well, Mr. Frumpet told me, and he said it's true.
I just checked on the internet now, and it's not true. There is no report of a meteorite coming this way.
Huh? Are you sure?
Yes, Nkechi. And really, you shouldn't believe everything that you hear without checking the facts first.
Hello, friends. You know it's important to verify all information before spreading it, right?
But how do we do that?
Well, Nkechi, we can start by checking reliable sources like books, newspapers, or asking adults who have knowledge and expertise on the subject.
Or go online like I just did. It's quite easy actually.
Yes, Ahmed. We should be like the truth seekers, finding evidence before sharing anything.
Thanks, Captain Excellence. From now on, I will always double check before spreading any information.
Good job. Remember, knowledge is power, and spreading the truth is always the best choice. By fact-checking information before spreading it, you can make a big difference.
The overall function of the parliament is adequate representation of their constituents in state echoes to federation.
Removal of fuel subsidy, resources to critical sectors such as education and health. A call to unity and progress of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
NAS Unplugged is a program that we highlight topical issues from both chambers of the National Assembly, from bills, motions, and constituency projects.
Guys have it.
Catch the program on ADBN TV, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as we bring you activities of the National Assembly as it affects the people.
During the flood disaster in Maiduguri and its environs.
For increase in the number of judges in the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
The eyes have it.
NAS Unplugged, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m.
From the pages of history.
Let it be that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights once and for all. And among those rights are the right to speak freely and the right to be heard. Women must enjoy the rights to participate fully in the social and political lives of their countries if we want freedom and democracy to thrive and endure. Let this conference be our and the world's call to action. Let us heed that call so we can create a world in which every woman is treated with respect and dignity. Every boy and girl is loved and cared for equally, and every family has the hope of a strong and stable future. That is the work before you. That is the work before all of us who have a vision of the world we want to see for our children and our grandchildren.
From the pages of history.
Cigarette smoking is deadly, dangerous, cancerous, a hazard to your health.
Welcome to FCT in Focus, your window to the vibrant heartbeat of Nigeria's capital. We dive deep into the core of the FCT, exploring how key policies and decisions shape lives across the city. From exclusive insights into the FCT administration to voices from the streets, we bring you stories that matter. Catch FCT in Focus every Saturday and Sunday at noon. Tune in for the latest stories directly from the nation's hearts.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on ADBN TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
Ahmed! Ahmed! Are you here? Huh? The tap is left on. Why did you leave the tap running all this time?
Well, I was brushing my teeth and then I went to pick my towel.
Ahmed, you need to become more eco-friendly. Next time, use a cup. That way, you only use the water you need.
Oh, I didn't think about that. You're right, Amiwa. I should know better.
Exactly. Remember, one small action a day can make a big difference for life.
Thank you, Tomiwa.
If we all do our part, we can help protect our planet and create a better future.
The future of our planet depends on our daily choices. But with the ever-growing demand for energy, innovation and industrialization, how can we balance our needs with the need to protect our environment? Exploring a greener world, one story at a time. Carbon Footprint is your guide to a sustainable ecosystem. Join us as we explore the intersection of energy, innovation, industrialization, and the environment on Carbon Footprint every Saturday by 11 a.m. Together, we can create a sustainable ecosystem.
Show it only on ADBN TV.
ADBN, Advocate Broadcasting Network.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's open up the floor for newspaper headline stories this morning. Quite topical issues making rounds in the news from publications across the nation. First, we start off with the Green Chambers with a proposal of a mandatory electronic transmission of election results. Now, this is captured on the front pages of the Daily Trust newspaper as well as the Daily Monitor, and also the New National Star with a different twist to the deliberations within the Senate. Now remember that these stories are read out as published strictly by the newspaper houses and are not the position or stand of ADBN television on the topics in the news. As always, you can lend in your thoughts, opinions, and contributions across our social media platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Well, that record being set straight, let's pick up the first paper, which is the Daily Trust, with the headline story. On the front page of the Daily Trust, Electoral Act Amendment, Senate proposes mandatory electronic transmission of results. Of course, Section 82, subsection 2, amended to make notices of political party conventions and congresses more specific and time-bound. You'd also find sections 12, subsection 1, alongside section 10, subsection 2, and section 27, subsection 5 to 7. Well, this is quite a very elaborate reportage, and it's continued on news page 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Away from the headline story, we look at some bottom stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. How I lost 8 relatives to Niger tanker explosion. ISWAP threats. Security forces comb Ondo, Kogi forest. Northern PDP governors, others endorse Turaki for national chair. Dangote plans sale of 10% stake in refinery. And you'd find picture of prominence capturing Nigerian returnees from Libya, received by the Lagos Operations Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, at the cargo terminal of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Tuesday. These here are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. In a moment, we'll skip away from the Daily Trust to the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor has a similar headline stories, much like the Daily Trust, concerning the Senate. Electoral Act, INEC should take burden of proof in election disputes. Senators insist. I'll take that again slowly. Electoral Act is the catchphrase there, splashed in red. INEC should take burden of proof in election disputes. Senators insist. The Commission is in charge of every action at the election. Should be able to prove, validate outcome of every polls, says Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Away from the headline story above the masthead, you'd find some stories. Amopitan assumed duty today. Stakeholders ask him to consolidate on Yakubu's achievements. Alleged terrorism. Again, court refuses Tukur Mamu's bail plea. The Chief of Army Staff says Nigerian Army deepening accountability, security in ongoing operations. And Governor Professor Chukuma Soludo showcases Anambra's transformation, unveils vision for the future. Vice President Kashim Shettima says federal government is set to invest $220 million in job creation. Now let's take a look at some stories at the bottom on the front page of the Daily Monitor. ASU suspends 2-week warning strike, gives federal government 1 month to engage with union. These here are the stories on the front page of the Daily Monitor. And of course, you'd find a picture much like the Daily Trust inserted here of returnees from Libya at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. In keeping with more reports from the Senate this morning, let's take a look at the New National Star with comments concerning the recent defections from other political parties to the All Progressives Congress, or from the All Progressives Congress to other political parties. Defections, disgraceful, shameful, erode dignity of Nigeria's democracy, Senate says. Straplines say that the Senate is moving to hold INEC accountable for election integrity. Decries militarization of polls, calls for moral rebirth in politics. Now, the Senate on Wednesday ignited a new and fiery chapter in Nigeria's long-running electoral reform debate, proposing a radical shift in the burden of proof during election petitions from candidates to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. It's a potentially game-changing reform that could reshape electoral justice ahead of the 2027 general elections. Right beneath the masthead and above the headline story, why they don't want Nnamdi Kanu out alive. Some allegations made by Omoyele Sowore. ASU suspends warning strike, gives federal government 1 month to settle rift. IPPIS upgrade. Federal government assures workers of timely October salaries payment. Now on the rider, you'd find some stories inserted there at the bottom. First, group asks EFCC, ICPC to investigate Rivers House of Assembly or Rivers HOS Sabina Brown. I'll take that again. Group asks EFCC, ICPC to investigate Rivers Head of Service Sabina Brown. UK courts post-study work period for foreign students to 18 months. ISWAP acts swiftly on DSS alerts, activist tells Nigerian Army and others. Ohaneze Ndigbo redeems 48-year-old pledge, gives 1977 Rangers FC players 1 million naira. I'll take that again. Ohaneze Ndigbo redeems a 48-year-old pledge, gifts 1977 Rangers FC players 1 million naira. And reps launch probe into $460 million Chinese loan for Abuja CCTV project. You can find a picture of prominence here capturing Anambra State security agencies at the Anambra State Police Command after a strategic meeting of representatives from all security agencies as part of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security ICCES, which focused on operational readiness and the establishment of a situation room at the police command headquarters in Awka yesterday. But let's move away from the Senate and matters of electoral reforms and defections. The next set of papers captured Dangote Refinery as it is set to sell 10% stake. This, we hear, has excited Nigerian investors. Let's take a look at the next two papers, the Leadership newspaper as well as the Standard Times Nigeria, to get better insight into this developing story. On the front page of the Leadership newspaper, Dangote Refinery's proposed 10% stake sale excites Nigerian investors. Now, this is quite a very big story on news page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. Away from the headline story, you'd find, "We will soon flush out bandits," Lakurawa orders, Chief of Defense Staff says. And above the masthead, lecturers suspend strike, give government 1 month to address demands. Kanu opens defense, lists Wike, Omahi, Burate, others as witnesses. And other feature stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper 2027, Sanwo-Olu, Fashola, Ambode back Tinubu as Lagos All Progressives Congress endorses president. New electoral chief Amopitan assumes office today. Presidency must remain in South, says Northern Group. You'd find 1999 Constitution is irredeemable, says Agbakogba. And on the rider, Niger tank explosion, Northern governors mourn as death toll hits 39. Lastly, federal government seeks $10 billion credit to address humanitarian challenges. These are the stories splashed on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Well, let's pick up the Standard Times Nigeria away from Dangote Refinery, but still in the oil and gas sector. This time around, it pertains to NNPCL. We'll take a look at the headline story. NNPCL makes 216 billion naira PAT as revenue declines in September. NNPCL makes 216 billion naira PAT as revenue declines in September. Now, above the headline story, House of Reps move to protect private investments from adversarial unionism. Away from the header story, let's take a look at 6 rider stories at the bottom on the Standard Times Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, brother, 11 others remanded in Kuje prison over protest. Edo Assembly sets up committee to probe ex-governor Obaseki's projects. Senate passes life imprisonment bill against pedophiles, minor defilement. TCN announces power outages in Enugu and Abuja. 30 burnt to death, over 40 injured while scooping fuel from falling tanker in Niger State. And court fixes October 31st for judgment in suit seeking to stop 2025 PDP's National Convention. Court sacks Ebonyi Council chairman, councillors elected in 2024. Now, these here are the stories on the Standard Times Nigeria. As the wave of insecurity continues to sweep in different parts of the country, states in the southwest as well as the north central are gearing up over a certain threat from ISWAP. Now, this is as the governor of Niger State has asked citizens to gear up and defend themselves against terrorists. Let's take a look at the next set of papers with in-depth reportage and headline stories concerning this matter of insecurity. Nigerian Tribune comes up first, closely followed by the Punch newspaper, and we'll also be reviewing the Vanguard. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, ISWAP threat, Kogi, Ondo move to douse tension. Strategic security measures reinforced. Surveillance intensified, Kogi says. And we are in constant contact with security agencies, the Ondo State government has notified. We'll take a look at some stories just beneath the masthead on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Gold rises by 60% as central banks shift reserves away from US dollar assets. Niger tanker explosion, death toll hits 42. Above the masthead on the Nigerian Tribune, ASU suspends 2-week warning strike, rejects 35% salary increase offer, gives federal government 1 month window to address demands. IMPI reverses inflation rate projection to 14% from 17% for December. And you'd find on the rider, election petition, Senate to shift burden of proof to INEC. And in health, a study has revealed that being too skinny might kill quicker than obesity. And picture of prominence captures Executive Chairman, Ekiti State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Olaniran Olatona, and Chief Bankole, Deputy Governor, Chief Mrs. Afuye, Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adedeji, alongside others at the official commissioning of Ekiti State Revenue House in Ado Ekiti as part of activities marking the 3rd anniversary of the Oyebanji administration. Away from the Nigerian Tribune, the Punch newspaper comes up next in a moment. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, ISWAP threat. Southwest, North Central states on high alert. Governors, police tighten surveillance as Ayedatiwa, Ododo, others urge calm amid ISWAP threat alert. Above the masthead, Reps probe Jonathan's $460 million CCTV project. And beside the masthead, electoral reforms, Senate pushes INEC to defend election results. Tinubu swears in Amopitan today. Rider stories on the front page of the Punch. Sanwo-Olu, Monarch hail Oyebanji at road inauguration. And on terrorism trial, Kano lists Wike, Sanwo-Olu, Burate among 23 witnesses. Stray bullet kills tricycle rider outside Lagos brothel. And finally, Elumelu champions private sector as catalyst for growth. In a moment, the Vanguard newspaper comes up with the headline story, Defend Yourselves, Governor Bago charges Niger residents. We'll start off with the phrase there, catchphrase there in red, insecurity. Defend yourselves, Governor Bago charges Niger residents. Vows never to negotiate or pay ransom to bandits. Defend yourselves, Governor Bago charges Niger residents. Vows never to negotiate or pay ransom to bandits. Let's take a look at some stories above the masthead on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Anambra showdown in 2025. Our campaign, a divine project and a mass movement, says Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo. ISWAP terror threats. Ondo, Kogi governments reassure citizens of safety. You'd find other feature stories on the front page of the Vanguard. State complicity fueling religious killings in Nigeria. Faith leaders insist. And on Electoral Act, burden of proof in election matters must shift to INEC. Aliko Dangote to sell 10% stake in refinery on NGX. And ASU suspends warning strike, gives federal government 1 month ultimatum. You'd find a picture inserted there at the bottom of Libyan returnees and some of the 147 Nigerian returnees from Libya being received by Lagos Operations Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, in conjunction with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons on arrival at the cargo terminal of Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, aboard Air Libya Airlines flight with registration number 5A BAE yesterday. Now let's move on to more reports this morning. Still on matter of security, but this time around relating it to Nnamdi Kanu, who has been on trial for quite some time. Comments from Omoyele Sowore are a little bit of an allegation that suggests that the federal government does not want to release Nnamdi Kanu alive. Let's take a look at the next paper, the First Daily, in a moment before we have our guest in the studio who is on standby to join the discussion. The First Daily comes up next. On the front page of the First Daily, Sowore alleges plot, government doesn't want Nnamdi Kanu freed alive. Activist sparks outrage, demands accountability over IPOB leader's detention. Beside the masthead at the top, Afenifere warns federal government. Constitutional amendment unrealistic, bound to fail. Yoruba group urges true federalism. Other stories on the front page of the First Daily. NEMA confirms 39 dead, 60 injured in Niger tanker explosion. Reps probe $460 million Chinese loan for Abuja CCTV project. Dixon calls for bold electoral reform, says burden of proof must shift to INEC. And on the rider, Nigeria's elections stronger, fairer since PDP left, says Senate President Godswill Akpabio. NEMA receives 147 stranded Nigerians from Libya. And ASU suspends 2-week warning strike. Meta restructures AI division, sacks 600 staff globally. And you'd find picture of prominence here capturing President Bola Tinubu welcoming Enugu State Governor Dr. Peter Mba during the governor's visit to the State House in Abuja on Wednesday, following his recent defection from the PDP to the APC, where both leaders discussed strengthening federal-state collaboration for greater development. Well, during the course of the discussion on Morning Express, we would also visit the front pages of other newspaper publications in the country. We'll be taking a look at stories surrounding ASU's suspension of their 2-week warning strike, and of course, the recent disaster in Niger State over a fuel frenzy that has left about 37 people dead, with governors in the northern part of the country mourning these losses. Joining us in the studio this morning is a regular on the program, a patriotic Nigerian, and one whom I believe loves to lend his deep wealth of knowledge to matters of national interest on Morning Express. Joining us is Mr. Ben Agunloye, political affairs analyst. A very good morning to you, Mr. Ben.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on Morning Express. Well, let's kick off with the Senate. I don't know if you've been following the newspaper headline stories that I've been reading. First is the Electoral Amendment Act, which the Senate is proposing quite a number of things. One of them is a mandatory electronic transmission of election results, something that has been canvassed for time and time again by, political observers and individuals who feel like an electronic transmission will be better than the regular transmission of results that we have been used to. What are your thoughts on this, and what is your disposition to the stand of the Senate?
It's not just about transmission. Now, burden of proof.
Yeah.
If you are not preparing to have a discredited and an unacceptable election, you shouldn't be talking about proof after it. Elections should be truthful. Elections should be honest. Where there is truth and honesty, you don't need to argue the facts. So I think that emphasis on burden of proof, it's, for me, not the right place to go. We should be looking at inclusivity. We should be looking at transparency. We should be looking at credibility of the election. We should be looking at making the election acceptable. So the discussion should center around what do we need to do to ensure that our elections are credible enough and acceptable to the electorate and the candidates. and not what to prove after the election. After the election, INEC can come up with substantial compliance. Substantial compliance does not mean that the election was free and fair.
When you say substantial compliance, can you simplify that?
No, when you say substantial compliance is you ask me to do 10 things. I have done 7 or 8. Yes, these 2 may not have been properly done. But substantially, if I have done 70 or 80%, I think that.
But don't you think that the Senate is coming up with this proposal due to numerous allegations of sharp practices within INEC that has been ongoing for a number of years? Every time there is an electioneering period, the elections hold, the results are announced, you know, people are agitated, and the fingers are always pointing back to INEC.
That's what I'm saying. If fingers are pointing,
yes,
is it possible to make it impossible for fingers to be pointing?
In what way?
In this age of technology,
in what way?
The answer is yes. By making sure that the process is credible, that the process is transparent, and then acceptable. Because fingers are pointing because it is not acceptable. If you accept it, you will not point fingers.
Yeah.
So why did you not accept it? Those are the things that we should bother our head with addressing. Now, when you come to results, I said, okay, IREV was a good intention. We can see the images. But beyond IREV, we need an electronic collation portal. Before you snap and send that picture, impute the result at the polling unit.
Some people might say that the reason why this has not really kicked off is due to the nature of maybe network service in certain areas where these elections hold, in rural communities, in rural areas where you might not have, you know, good network to be able to transmit. So in the process of moving these papers from the rural area to an urban center or at least a place where there might be network, there could be some sharp practices within along that line. That is the argument by so many
people. What we are saying is simple. Why is it that we cannot use the same procedures everywhere?
What procedures?
Apart from election, are you saying that the people of those rural areas do not deserve telecommunication services? They deserve it. So I think that the direction should be making these facilities available everywhere. You say bandits are come to attack or this has happened. And the people need to travel 50 or 100 kilometers before they can even make a call to say they are attacking us. Now, by the time you need to do 100 kilometers, the attackers are done with whatever they are doing and they have taken some distance and they are gone. So the people of the rural area also deserves to have these telecommunication services. So the approach therefore should be coming from Senate to say, okay, is it USPF that will do this?
Yeah.
That's the Universal Service Provision Fund. Is it NCC? Is it the network? Do we need to go for devices that are possibly satellite based? How many? Okay, we've got as much as 8,809 electoral wards. In how many of these do we have telephone service? In how many of these do we need to use maybe satellite services for the purpose of the election? So when you have the right tools, so it should be about tooling. It is not about looking for who to blame. It is the responsibility of the Senate and the law to ensure that the right tools are available. Such that when the elections are held, everybody will be able to beat their chest that we have confidence in this process and we believe that this process is credible. In which case, there will be no need for litigation. So that's where they should spend. So they should spend their time and energy at attacking the root cause as against solving the effect. Litigation is after election. The election should be made credible and acceptable.
So that there won't be any need for litigation.
So there won't be any need for litigation.
Now, Mr. Ben, I will come back to you in a moment. Let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper once again. Some parts of the Electoral Amendment Act that the Senate is hammering on. In a moment, we'll take a look at that closely. Now, Section 82, subsection 2 says amended to make notices of political party conventions and congresses more specific and time-bound. Now, you will react to this in relation to the People's Democratic Party, particularly, which has had, its own fair share of troubles regarding congresses. And then section 12, subsection 1D, as well as section 12, subsection 2, recognize the voting rights of inmates, provided INEC makes adequate arrangements for their registration and participation in elections. I just want you to react to these two sections of the Electoral Amendment Act before we move on to the other two sections discussed.
No, definitely. Transparency in an election starts from the party. If the political party are shrouded in secrecy and shrouded in crisis, then you are going to have a situation where we are heading for troubles. At least in this nation, we've seen Zamfara voted, and after voting, because the party mismanaged their own primaries, the entire result that the people who willingly voted for APC were cancelled, and they told them they wasted their vote, and the election result was granted to the PDP. The same thing happened in Bayelsa because the party has not done the right thing with the primaries. The same thing happened in Rivers in 2019 because the primaries were not right. A party had no candidate at all. And that leaves the ruling party in the state at the time with a free table.
I believe people watching us right now will be wondering that there are rules and guidelines laid out for congresses, laid out for party conventions. These rules have been set aside by INEC. And I believe these parties have these rules as a handbook, sort of, during the process of registration. How is it possible that even with laid out rules and guidelines, parties still miss their steps during conventions and congresses?
Because they are not prepared to be transparent. From 2007 till now, we've had a lot of cases decided in court in favor of candidates contrary to whatever had happened at the polling booth. And so because there are people who benefit from these shenanigans and these wrongdoings, they would definitely want it to continue because they want to continue to benefit. And the tendency is there that we've got a lot of people within our system who do not like processes and procedures. And that's why we say define the process, define the procedure, make it time bound, and ensure that they live within it. And there should not be much waivers. So that even in simple things within association, you see people are not ready to play by the rules. They fault deadlines, they don't meet deadlines, and then they begin to complain. So it should be that the rules are straight, the timelines are set for the parties to do all that they need to do to get back to INEC. And then INEC can also make its own plan. Because when you begin to go out of plan, it means they need to make secondary or alternative arrangements. And so things that should be ready on time are not ready because the inputs did not come from the places where they should come.
So most of the times it's an internal problem of the party, not necessarily a failure on the part of INEC.
Sometimes that is what it is. The party failed, and because they are supposed to be an input into what INEC will run, then the input is wrong. When your inputs are wrong, it is obvious that the output will be wrong.
Well, what would you say about the People's Democratic Party in relation to this? We've had quite a number of discussions on the program concerning the PDP and its woes internally.
Well, from the onset till now, had the PDP been without crisis, I am not sure. Apart from possibly Solomon Lang, which other PDP party chairman has completed his tenure appropriately? Vincent Ogbulafo resigned as a minister to become the secretary of the party. And I still remember that while he was planning to resign, one of the things he was saying, he said it here in Sheraton. I happens to be in the secretariat of, he was saying it to Ibin Chimbas, then the secretary, I think ECOWAS secretary general at the time, that as a minister they can remove you at any time. but as the secretary of the party, you contest an election, you have a tenure.
Yeah.
I remember that he used that word. And so he resigned as a minister, became the party secretary. He possibly was the one who said the party will be here for 60 years. But he didn't even complete his term as secretary of the party. He was removed. There was somebody who had a vision. So he tells you that something...
losing on the ministerial side and losing on the
the party secretary side. So he tells you that the party... And go and check it. In most cases, the party chairman, the party executive does not even complete their tenure. Something happens. And so he tells you that internally, the party had issues. At the time they were in government, they could use the apparatus of government to cover up for their deficiencies. Yeah. But now they are out of government, and so the resources is not enough for them to.
And that has further plunged them into more crisis.
So that has plunged them into further crisis. So it is that from the foundation, it's a building that had crisis. Yeah. And so when you are now out of power, now when you have enough resource to support, you can cover the crack, do everyday repainting, do so whitewashing. But the truth is that out of power, the resources, both material and people and power to sustain the cracks, is no longer there. And that's why they are where they are. It did not start today. It started long ago.
What would you say to Section 12, subsection 1 and 2 of the Electoral Amendment Act pertaining to the right of inmates to be able to vote? This is a discussion that has not really held sway in the general Nigerian political space up until now.
Well, are they citizens? The answer is yes. If they are in prison and they can learn trade and they can go to school, then I see no reason why
they shouldn't vote.
They shouldn't vote. It's just that we needed to now define, okay, what are the basis? How do you register them appropriately? Now, of course, I think that we should have a way of linking our voters' registration to our NIN. And then the transfer of voting points should be something that will be relatively more seamless than it is today. Transfer of voting point is still very complex. Yeah. So I think that not just for inmates, but for every other Nigerian, we need to readdress that. Sometimes when you talk about the number of voters coming down, it is because, yes, you are beginning to have the book. I'm a copper, I register in Bayelsa. Now I'm working in Benue. Yeah. Because the NYC, the service year is over.
And when it's electionary
the procedure you require for me to transfer my voting point is so cumbersome that if it's something I can go in one day, do it, and then pick up the card very soon, then it doesn't have to be tied to season as far as I'm concerned. You have moved, so you might say, okay, I cannot change my voting point more than once in a year or more than once in 2 years. But it shouldn't be rocket science. I shouldn't need to abandon my job for a week or more because I needed to change my voting point. So if you make that seamless for everybody, so whether you are in prison or you are transferred or you are wherever you are, it means you can just sit down, make that switch, and vote where we are. So for me, it should go beyond the people who are in prison. It should be that there should be freedom of movement. Yes, you can say it's only once in a year or once in 2 years. I won't have problem with that. But changing of pool of voting point is where the strongest emphasis should be. And that will work for everybody, and that will work for people in prison. So it also means people in prison who have never been registered can register to that location afresh. And when they are released, they can move their voting point to wherever new location that they are.
Now, you mentioned something about linking the voter's card to NIN. This is also something that the Electoral Amendment Act is supposed to address. Now, this is in Section 10, subsection 2C, which adds the National Identification Number, NIN, as part of requirements for voter registration. Is this, in your opinion, a more viable way of ensuring transparency and accountability during electioneering periods and ensuring that in most cases these allegations of people being imported from other countries to come and vote in Nigeria, those allegations are also stemmed?
Well, linking the NIN to voters registration, it's actually, for me, I think that if you don't have a NIN, if you don't have a national identity number, you, especially as an adult, I consider you not to be a Nigerian. That's me.
It's as simple as that.
However, you would also need to know that in the current process, is it possible for a Nigerian to get a national identity number? I am not sure that they cannot get. So we need to eventually, therefore, go beyond. If it's becoming a condition and a mandatory status, we need to begin to look at how do we close the loopholes such that not every Dick and Harry, not every Tom and Jerry can come from wherever, go into the nation system, and then register. That means we need some measure of proof, we need some measure of verification about the identity of people that are doubtful before you can give them the NIN.
Yes.
So we need more control to be built around the NIN and ensure that those data are verifiable and correct.
All right, Mr. Ben, before we move on to yet another matter of discourse, but still staying with the Senate, let me just get your take on a recent statement concerning defections, that was raised on the floor of the Senate, where it was described as disgraceful, shameful, and an erosion of dignity of Nigeria's democracy. This is a statement in Nigeria's Senate.
Yes. Now, this is it. Like I would always say, on the average, the PDP sees itself as the people who have all the knowledge. When defections are against the PDP, it is anti-democracy. But when it is in their favor, it is a good move.
Now this statement was made by Senator Henry Siriaki Dixon of Kansas State.
He is of the PDP. He was in 2019, right? The building up to 2019 election. At some point, the senators, including the Senate president, left the APC for the PDP. And in fact, the PDP began to have majority in the Senate where they had minority. And at that time, PDP chairman described them, who was from the South, described them as heroes of democracy. So, moving to the PDP makes you an hero. Moving away from PDP makes you disgraceful. I think it's an imbalance. When judgment favors the PDP, it is democracy.
Is this now pointing us back to the crisis of the PDP that has not been able to...
That is why their crisis cannot be resolved, because they don't face reality. What favors them is right. What they think does not favor them is wrong. If they are part of it, the party is good. If they are not on board, the party is
bad. And democracy's dignity is being eroded.
Dignity is eroded, democracy is this and that. But that's the practical reality. Movement should be movement. However, yes, we need to look at this individual. And that's why for someone like me, I will continue to insist. This presidential system is not our thing. If we go parliamentary, some of them who are in the Senate shouting and talking will likely not even make it.
Why?
Through their constituency.
Why?
Because it would have been more involving. The party at the center would not have dictated to become the candidate. A lot of people emerge as candidates against the run of things in their local environment, perhaps because the governor or the party at the federal level has vested interest in them. To a large extent, you know that you can't come overnight in a parliamentary system and say you are the leader of the party. No, you've got to have a track record with the party. You've got to have a track record with the people. You can't just come from anywhere and say you are representing Lagos as a minister. Somebody did from 2007 to 2014, who for me is not an indigenous of Lagos, was not resident in Lagos, he might have been born there, does not even have an electoral ward.
Who was that?
Of course, Segun Agangan. Segun Agangan is from Edo State, born in Lagos, but he came from the abroad to be minister representing Lagos, substantive minister for 8 years.
And you think that is wrong?
Where is his electoral ward in Lagos?
Is it proven that he did not have or still doesn't have an electoral ward
tell
in
me.
Lagos?
Tell me. I've been asking and nobody has been able to tell me that this is his electoral ward, this is his polling unit, this is where he sat and met with the PDP members in Lagos for his 8 years as minister.
How did you do it?
Well, the party wanted him, is it not? And the party picked him. Even when all the senators from Lagos said no.
But the party insisted.
The party, of course, the Senate still approved his position. Because the idea then was that if 2 of the 3 senators says no to a minister, the minister should not be proven.
Yeah.
But I know that the 3 ministers from Lagos, senators from Lagos, said no to Segun Agaga. But Segun Agaga still made it.
And the Senate confirmed him.
Yes, to represent Lagos as the minister. So it tells you something somewhere is wrong with the structure and the system
of our current democracy.
Yeah.
So you are of the opinion that if there was a shift from our democratic, system of government to a parliamentary style,
which is more
inclusive, then the occurrences like the one you cited would certainly not take place, and there will be more transparency.
Yes.
But how possible is that in the current dispensation?
Well, those are the things we should be looking forward to. And that's why those who said it is not constitutional amendment, but a constitutional change that we require have some point.
What's the difference?
The difference is you are amending what you have, right? Okay, this is a house. You have a pot. The pot is leaking. And then you are fixing it, and then it's not cooking what will feed everybody.
That's an amendment.
That's an amendment. But you take out that pot and you put a new pot that will possibly serve the interest of everybody and meet the need. Something that is more practicable. In the current constitution, we have a lot of issues. People want maybe some form of region. I have not seen where the constitution defines geopolitical zones. But we want that geopolitical affiliation and toga.
Yeah.
Right? We want this, we want that. But those things are not acceptable or sitting down with the constitution of the day. Now, the constitution of the day gave so much, put the local government, in my opinion, in the pocket of the governor. Now we are trying to get the Supreme Court to save them. Supreme Court is like making new laws when they take decisions. Agreed. But why don't we sit down, deconstruct this constitution, and come up with something new that is acceptable to all of us? Whether it was the 2000, the Obasanjo Constitution Conference or the Jonathan Constitution Conference, go and check it. They both tend towards some measure of parliamentary. They both talked about some measure of rotation. They both talk about some measure of having part-time legislature, which...
Now, Mr. Ben, before we move on to, the oil and gas sector and Dangote Refinery's proposal of a certain percentage sale of stake in his refinery, in the last couple of weeks or months, we have seen a lot of defections from, other political parties to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Most recently, we saw 2 senators defecting to the APC. We saw the governor of Enugu State defecting as well, and with the entire party structure of the PDP into the APC. The same thing applied to the governor of Bayelsa State. And Nigerians have been pointing fingers at APC and the Tinubu-led administration, saying that, before 2027 election comes by, we might just have a one-party state in Nigeria. What are your thoughts and what is your disposition on this?
We are not going to have a one-party state.
It looks like we are heading that
those
way.
Who are saying that, I think, are just trying to, in my opinion, create storm in a teacup. I would always say there are people in PDP that are not acceptable to the APC in Ekiti. Same goes for Osun. Same goes for Oyo. There are people who are currently in the PDP that will not come. Or if they decide to come to the APC, they will not welcome them. As demoralized as PDP is in Ondo State today, there are still some elements in the PDP folk who will not come to the APC. Kano has NNPP they have a governor.
Yeah.
Some other parties have their members who had not left. When people were leaving, or when PDP was capturing everybody from 2003 to 2011, nobody talked about the fear of a one-party state. At least it was in the midst of that capturing that they went, oh, we will be here for, we will rule for 60 years. It was the process of the capturing. But the 60 eventually became 16, and today the party keeps going down from maybe having 28 or 24 governors to having much less. So I think that we need to focus on the elected people. Are they doing their job?
Yes.
If we measure them based on that, and let's leave the story of a one-party state or no one-party state, I don't think that Sule Lamido from Jigawa would ever leave the PDP for APC. So as long as there are people who won't leave their party and cross, then the issue of one-party state is not at stake. But it is for those other individual parties that are left to hone in to their grassroots and their base and retain their member. Changing the name, when it was NEPA, we say it's PHCN.
PHCN.
Then from PHCN, we have Discos and Genco.
Discos, yeah.
But when they take light today, what do people still say? They still up NEPA. Even children that were not born
when NEPA
existed, they still know it that way. Yeah. It tells you that they have found a place with the people with that name. So the PDP, the ADC, the Labour Party need to go and find a place with the people, rather than the rhetorics of we are in the danger of a one-party state. I don't think that we are. Because if we actually were in the danger of one-party state, go back. There were points where the PDP had more than 2/3 majority in the houses. And that's why we were talking about Agaga and some other ministers. Even when the people from their state say no, they eventually still got the position that they wanted
to get.
Because the party had majority that can determine in the houses. But nobody accused the PDP at the time, or the government at the time, of pursuing the mission of a one-party state. We have 6 governors in the Southwest who were AD in 2003. Immediately after that election, it prunes down from 6 to 1. The PDP cleared the other 5, and they came back and told all of us they have captured those states. So, in the era where they were capturing, there was no danger of one-party state.
But now because the APC is capturing,
it is not in their interest. It is not even APC, in my opinion, capturing. They created the crisis that led to some of these people wanting to leave.
All right, Mr. Ben, let's move on to yet another matter of discuss this morning. It's concerning Dangote Refinery and, of course, the oil and gas sector. The refinery, as we know it, has been embroiled in some sort of scuffle with labor unions in the country, including Pengasin and Nupeng. And this morning, we hear an announcement that Dangote Refinery is set to sell or to enlist about 10% stake on NGX. This is a news that has excited Nigerian investors. What is your position on this, Mr. Ben? Selling off 10% stake, is this good news?
Selling off 10% stake is good for both the company and for the people.
Why is that so?
It widens the stakeholders base. So it's no longer you seeing it as his property. It becomes more of our business.
Our business. As Nigerians.
So for the people who buys into the 10%, but we now need to know what are the rules that will follow the buying. Is it just everybody that is interested who will be able to pull the stake, or you are still going to look for core people who is buying the 10%? If it will be open for all, then it means that, okay, if you value the refinery at maybe 20 or 25 billion by now, then you are saying that about $2.5 billion is coming to the capital market.
To the capital market via NGX.
Via the NGX. So he can recuperate. Of course, the company gets an immediate source of fund even from that. and if they still have ongoing loan, that could service their loan, that could fund their improvement. But on a wider basis, it gives more sense of ownership to a larger number of people and should possibly increase their stability and the perspective that they begin to win among the people.
Now Dangote Refinery, particularly, as I was introducing the topic earlier, I said it has been embroiled in a lot of fights. It appears that unionism, especially in the oil and gas sector, is out to get Dangote Refinery and perhaps destroy the efforts that the billionaire businessman has been putting into our oil and gas sector. And there's been a radical shift from NNPCL to Dangote Refinery. We hear this morning that the House of Reps is moving to protect private investments from adversarial unionism. Is this a step in the right direction?
No, definitely it's a step in the right direction. You know, is he politics 101 that person called the rhyme? You know, he said, when he was talking about communists, he said, if you have 2 cows, communists will say, give the 2 to the government.
Yeah.
We will give you milk. He said, but if you say, you stay trade union, will say, we'll pour away the milk
and kill the
cow. So sometimes unionism can be negative to development if it's not properly managed. Staffs need to be protected. I agree with that. But then there should also be responsibility on the part of the union to ensure that, because the basis why they are staff is that the business exists. If the business collapse, they will not continue to be
employed.
They will not continue to be employee because there is no business to employ them.
Exactly.
So to a large extent, therefore, we need to look at that. And of course, when you come to Nupeng and Pengasan, I have this personal issue with them. Till tomorrow, they have not told us what engagement they got with their members who were in the local refineries, whether it is Warri, Port Harcourt, or Kaduna refineries at the time. For so long, the refineries were not working. But their members who were in those places were paying union dues. Their members who were in those places were earning salary. They were proceeding on retirement after 20 years of not having produced 1 liter of petrol. They were going for international tours.
Yet the unions did not protest.
And yes, the union did not protest that our members are employed in this refinery and they have nothing to do.
Yeah.
They didn't see anything wrong in that. And so I think that to an extent, for me, I have groused with Nupeng and Pengasan. That our refinery, a lot was going wrong in the petroleum sector, especially in the public aspect, and they did absolutely nothing. At least in the public space, we didn't see what they are doing.
Yeah.
Rather, they were doing more of going to take over Trade Union Congress. Doing more of taking over TUC, and they've ran TUC, in my opinion, from about 2009 till now. It's been more of Pengasan people doing all the talking and doing all the action.
No, of course, the leader of the TUC also doubles as the leader of Pengasan.
That's, of course, even Esele was leading Pengasan before he came to lead TUC. In about 2010, 2011, 2012 or thereabout.
Yeah.
So it's been a case of they are just, for me, coasting on unionism. Yes, the strength of their home base, the fact that there is so much money in the union, but they should go beyond that and work for the nation. Now, their disagreement with Dangote is not because some of us would want to speak for Dangote, but it is that if you treat a Nigerian the way you are treating treating Dangote, what confidence are you giving to
external
investors to come and invest in that sector or any sector in Nigeria? So you will realize that the back and forth and the troubles with Dangote goes beyond Pengasan and Dangote, Dapman and Dangote, but trickles down to the fact that we are now in the age of information. Whatever you are doing in Nigeria is not within you. Before you even do it, it's already on the internet. And global investors can see. We have a large number of people. There are over 200 million people, and a lot of Nigerians talk without control. And so it means that you, without even making effort to investigate a matter in Nigeria, you can sit at your screen and get so much information that are genuine. Some of which are even supposed to be classified. People put them there online before they are declassified.
Particularly on X.
So with that happening, a crisis or a seeming crisis against the Dangote refinery is a negative spell to anybody outside. We still have bitumen, we have other solid minerals, we have agriculture, and we're looking at so much people coming in to invest, but we are treating our own person. And there is a way they say it in my place, right? They say, you know, in a polygamous home, you have children that are from your mother, you have children that are from another mother. Now, they say when you want to show that you are mean, you test your sham on your mother's child. That once you have done that, every other person will know that you mean business. You are indeed mean, and they should avoid you. And I think that if we are treating Dangote, if we treat Dangote wrongly, that is the kind of signal that we are sending to the rest of the world. If you bring your money into Nigeria, the union might frustrate you and get you miserable.
Now, one of the reports this morning is concerning NNPCL, where it says that the revenue generally has declined in September, with NNPCL making a 216 billion naira PAT only. Could this be as a result of the disruption of the system by Dangote Refinery, something that a lot of observers of the oil and gas sector have hammered on time and time again, that indeed it is good, but on the other hand, it could be affecting NNPCL negatively?
Well, NNPC is not into active refining. So Dangote should even be good for their business because they have crude. They have a source of delivering crude that is close by. So it's not that you are even collecting money to distribute to supply in 3 months' time. It is that under 1 week you can do the supply,
and there's also an option of Naira for crude
completed. So I don't think it is about Dangote. But of course, if you are looking at, if it is the month of September, you possibly are looking at the Pengassan activities, the strikes, the uncertainties, and the rest that happened. Of course, would have affected the flow stations and some other NNPC businesses much more than it affects even Dangote refinery. That's the practical reality. Because Pengassan and Pengassan majorly are more involved with the external trades and the rest of that. And we're talking of doing 2 million barrels or close to 2 million barrels per day. If you are doing 2 million barrels per day or 1 million barrels, let's even be conservative. If you do only 1 million barrels per day, it means that in 1 day at $70, for instance, you are doing 70 billion. Is it not?
Exactly.
So if you then shut down for 2 days, you are losing 140
and that could be attributed to the loss,
to the strike. So that could account. A 1 day strike in that sector is huge against the NNPC. And that's why some of us would always insist, when you talk about petrol and the petroleum sector in Nigeria, it is a security product. Petrol is a security product and should be protected. So that's why sometimes people say, why should the National Security Advisor get? No. For me, apart from the military, the next most important place that the national security should have eye on
is the oil and gas sector.
The oil and gas sector. Nothing should go wrong in that place before you come to power.
Well, quite.
So those two. Energy is a security thing and should be taken
with so much security seriousness,
consciousness, and seriousness.
All right, Mr. Ben, we have just about 10 minutes to wrap up the discourse on the program this morning. Still talking about security, like Mr. Ben had ended his last statement. This time around, it is concerning a certain threat released by ISWAP to states in the southwest and the north central. Now we hear that Kogi and Ondo State, alongside other states in these regions, are gearing up to douse the tensions while assuring citizens that they are safe. This is as the Niger State Governor, Umar Bago, has asked Nigerians, or particularly Niger State citizens, to ensure they protect themselves against bandits and terrorist attacks. Quite a very controversial topic this morning. Insecurity is not new to Nigeria, and it appears that every single morning when we have discussions surrounding the state of security in the country, it's becoming worse.
You see, it's good to respond to threats.
Yeah.
Agreed. But there should be more definitive things that are done. I don't know for how long, or for almost 2 years now, or more than a year, Solid Minerals is talking about the mining rangers.
Yeah.
If you have trained them and equipped them, they should be in the forest. The president talks about the federal forest service.
God, yes.
What? That's almost 8 months now or 1 year. Where are we on that? By now, we should have had the states and the Ministry of Environment, who possibly have the forest in part, telling us what they have done. How are these people going to be recruited? How are they going to be trained? How are they going to be deployed? So if you are saying, okay, there is this forest that runs between Edo, Kogi, and Ondo State, for instance.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, let the Edo North and the Kogi North, Kogi South, and Kogi West, I think, and the Ondo North.
Yes.
This forest is between you. So let's train your men together, because they would always have a meeting point. The three states have a common boundary somewhere. So it means the forest can be policed from the Edo side, can be managed from the Kogi side, can be managed from the Ondo side. But you have not even put these guards in place.
In doing this, apart from the forest guards, if you compare the two states, Ondo and Kogi, Ondo on its part has the Amotekun.
Yeah.
Of course, in the entire southwest, which Ondo is part of. But we can't say the same for Kogi.
No, Kogi also has some form of interventional systems.
What interventional system is that?
They've got some kind of, whether they are hunters or they might not have given them a broad name.
But like they exist.
But they exist. Kogi has
and you think there can be a collaboration between the Amotekun and these hunters?
Of course.
To go into the forest and flush out these bandits or terrorists who are already threatened.
Over time, they've collaborated. But like we said, the bite or the boots on ground will not be the same thing as you having the federal or the forest guard system in place. That would be their primary responsibility. Yes, they will collaborate with Amotekun on that side, collaborate with whatever Edo is having on that side, collaborate with the guys in Kogi on the other side. But the reality is that we need to do something as quickly as possible about the forest. It is in the forest that there are ungoverned spaces. The president has come up with what some of us see as a permanent solution or a more sustainable solution to the issues in the forest. Why then is there delay in engaging these people? Because if today you say they are here and then you rush, you call soldiers, they rush there. The soldiers you are calling to pull into Ondo and Kogi today are definitely being pulled away from somewhere. And you don't train new soldiers over 30 days. You possibly need 6 to 9 months. Now, in the 6 to 9 months period, what happens to the places where you have pulled those people for? It means you cannot even keep them where you have taken them to for too long. As soon as they are done with the operation, they have to be sent back or move to another. Now, when you move, that place become what? Empty.
And ungoverned and
ungoverned as well. And then it means that these guys, if they have not all died, can always move back to take possession.
Now let's get the comments of the Niger State Governor, Governor Omar Bago, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Governor Bago says on insecurity, in a moment we'll take a look at the Vanguard, on insecurity, residents vows never to negotiate or pay ransom to bandits. This last statement, Mr. Ben, is something that a lot of governors who govern states that have been ravaged by banditry always boast of. We will not negotiate, we will not pay ransom to bandits. But that is not the case in states, in places like Zamfara, that we see the governor or the government actively engaging in peace talks with bandits and even paying ransom for kidnapped victims or abducted citizens to be released.
You see, it's a lesson learned. Kaduna did it, it never solved the problem. In the early days of El-Rufai, Katsina did, it didn't solve the problem. Zamfara did, and they are still not, the problem has still not been solved. So I think that the way of negotiating with bandits is not the right way to go. Niger, I was there, I think, on a safe school program last year, and you could see the level of coordination. Yes, the state is quite large. Even the police will tell you that there are places so we can't get to, but we still cover them because there are hunters who we collaborate.
Collaborate and
you have the
some sort of
vigilante
cover
system, you have the hunter system, and a number of others in place. So when the governor is saying protect yourself, it's not saying every individual resident
should pick up arms.
No. But it's more like within your environment, there are structures in place to help safeguard you. Respect those structures, provide the right information, and then things can be in order. When, of course, people were invading schools in Mina and its environment, he needed to at some point declare a curfew. So it's situational action. That's what he's doing. He has invested so much in infrastructure. He's investing so much in infrastructure. He has invested so much in agriculture. And so he needed the people to stay on the farm. He needed the people to work. And so what he's saying is, yes, he might not, now again, he's the governor, he's the chief security officer. I do not expect him to come on the press and tell you all that he has done with the security forces, with the non-state actors and the rest. No. But all he can do is to encourage the people to say, look, you have not so much to fear, but at least make provision for your own safety. When you see something, say it. If you see security forces around, support them so that they can do
their work
and do it well. Because in the end, it will be for your own protection.
Yeah.
So talking about civic responsibility to ensuring security is not the same as telling everybody go and carry
weapons.
Because even when you carry the weapon, who will train you to use it? The bandits they've already got their training. So even if you have the same class of weapon with the bandits,
you won't operate
the chances are that you will not be able to overpower them.
Yeah.
Because one is there is going to be surprise element in the attack, and before you get yourself together, they are possibly more professional with the firearms, and so a lot would have gone wrong. So I think that the statement for me is not out of place, and it should not be quoted out of context. It should just be seen as he is putting it in place, that security is the responsibility of everybody, and that each person must make effort to play his own role.
All right, Mr. Ben, quite a fine place to leave the discussion this morning. I must thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been wonderful dissecting some of these topical issues. Well, that has been Mr. Ben Agunleye speaking to us on matters of national interest, starting off with the Senate and its proposal of a mandatory transmission of electronic transmission of election results in the country. We also touched on Dangote Refinery and the NNPCL within the oil and gas sector, and of course matters of national security with a threat by ISWAP and states in the north central and the southwest gearing up for a possible attack. But Governor of Niger State has assured that no such attack will take place and that the government and security forces are ever ready to take on these non-state actors. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will continue the discussion on Morning Express with other dimensions of issues in the news. Do well to stay with us.
For your news on the go, ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms. An Avo TV app, ADBN Channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Linux Well TV app. To get the latest news straight to your phone, join our WhatsApp TV channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across social media handles. On X at ADBN TV, Instagram at ADBN TV, Facebook ADBN TV, YouTube ADBN TV. Keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
The only way to win this fight is for one of you to bring home a husband. Who do you think you are? Silver white, just like you.
Show me who will take over as Ozusi and Oyinsi of Ndiani when I journey to Eligwe.
Do you think that the path to greatness does not require great sacrifices? The price has changed.
Welcome to Niger Steppers Showdown.
We're competing for the Niger Steppers Showdown.
Ní gbogbo olùgbọ́dọ̀ bá fẹ́.
Abọ́bakú gba ilẹ̀ bàbá yín.
Èmi ẹkùn nìkan pẹ́rán nìkan dájẹ́ èmi ọ̀tá ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ níjà. Èmi dẹ̀ ní ẹlẹ́sẹ̀ kejì òrìṣà.
Mgbe nsogbu adịrọ, oge elugo mgbe m ma-agwa ndị a na m abụrụ egwu achọtaba n'aka were agba.
Sabon tauraron Arewa ya dawo. Mafi girma, mafi ƙarfi kuma mafi ɗaukar hankali.
Driving makawan ATM ne but driving slow.
Zan wuce kushewa. Zango na biyu. Waƙa ce, sha'awa ce, tafiya ta ci gaba.
Prepare the cabin for landing.
I hope there shall be no drum.
Stop doing that! I was so excited to have you here. I would tell you, you're gonna get whooped again.
Oh, he's coming.
You will go.
Ria, are you ready?
Hey, Hamed, did you hear that a meteorite will be landing near our school tomorrow?
Really? That sounds exciting. But Nkechi, where did you hear that?
Well, Mr. Frumpet told me, and he said it's true.
I just checked on the internet now, and it's not true. There is no report of a meteorite coming this way.
Huh? Are you sure?
Yes, Nkechi. And really, you shouldn't believe everything that you hear without checking the facts first.
Hello, friends. You know it's important to verify all information before spreading it, right?
But how do we do that?
Well, Nkechi, We can start by checking reliable sources like books, newspapers, or asking adults who have knowledge and expertise on the subject.
Or go online like I just did. It's quite easy actually.
Yes, Ahmed. We should be like the truth seekers, finding evidence before sharing anything.
Thanks, Captain Excellence. From now on, I will always double check before spreading any information.
Good job! Remember, knowledge is power, and spreading the truth is always the best choice. By fact-checking information before spreading it, you can make a big difference.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's continue with newspaper headline stories before our next guest joins us on the program this morning. Now it's concerning ASU and its suspension of its warning strike, a 2-week warning strike, despite unmet demands by the federal government. ASU, on the other hand, is given the FG a 1-month ultimatum to ensure that they meet the agreements of the 2009 pact between the federal government and ASU. This is on the front page of the New Telegraph newspaper. We'll take a look at that in a moment, and other accompanying strap lines and feature stories on the front page. Greeting your screen is the New Telegraph right now. Why we suspended warning strike despite unmet demands. A revelation made by ASU. Says Education Minister failed in addressing its issues. Gives federal government 1 month to conclude 2009 pact renegotiation, address other issues. Now, above the headline story, you'd find reps probe non-repatriation of $850 billion crude oil export proceeds. Also, $460 million CCTV contracts in Abuja. They cry killings in the FCT. Federal government goes tough on foreigners acquiring passports, vows prosecution, issuance process to ensure absolute vetting, security checks. Yakubu engineered massive reform of Nigerian elections, says IPAC. And UK courts pose steady work period for foreign students. Report says American pilot kidnapped in Niger. Above the masthead, you'd find federal government seeks $10 billion single-digit interest funding to tackle humanitarian crisis. And Dangote to sell 10% stake in refinery targets 1.4 million barrels per day. All the feature stories on the front page of the New Telegraph, away from those header stories. Tinubu's economic reforms can't achieve transformational impact, says Agbakoba. Assesses President Atiku Obi for 2027. Protests Nnamdi Kanu may change legal team as IPOB leader enters the fence. And on the rider on issues of Electoral Act, Senate seeks to place burden of proof on INEC, says polls organizer supervisor should prove credibility. 2027, politicians' mandate belongs to their party, not themselves. And planned ISWAP attacks. Tension in Ondo, Kogi over DSS alert as Ayedatiwa Ododo urge calm. A recent study has revealed how skipping breakfast raises hypertension and high blood sugar risk. And picture of prominence here is that of Senator representing Bauchi North Senatorial District, Senator Kaila Samuela Dahua, and Senator representing Cross River North Senatorial District, Senator Jarigbe Agbon Jarigbe. President Bola Tinubu, alongside Senate President Godswill Akpabio during their meeting with President at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday. Well, let's see if we can join our next guest here virtually, Comrade Shegun Ayola, who is a regular on the program and also a public affairs analyst. A very good morning to you, Comrade. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this discussion today.
Thank you.
Well, I can't quite hear you clearly, but if you can't hear me, Let's kick off with a recent protest that had held in Abuja. Protesting over the release of Nnamdi Kanu. This was led by human rights activist Omoyele Sowore alongside the lead counsel for Nnamdi Kanu and other, individuals who are interested in the case. Now, this was a failed protest, and Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention and is still facing trial. However, Sowore has come out to state that there is an alleged plot by the federal government to ensure that Nnamdi Kanu is not released alive. What is your disposition on this matter?
Yeah, my disposition is quite clear. Protest is to hold government accountable. Every protest everywhere in the world is so because the people who protest want to hold government accountable and also to ensure social stability, politically, economically, and so on. This case of Nnamdi Kanu has been in the public domain for a decade plus, and
Well, Comrade Segun Ayola, I can't quite hear you, but before we resolve the issue of this audio, I'll just take some newspaper headlines before that is resolved. Let's quickly move on to the Daily Independent newspaper with concerns about Nigeria's food security. In a moment, we'll be back to Segun Ayola, but first, the Daily Independent greets your screen with the headline story: Credit drought threatens Nigeria's food security goals. Credit drought threatens Nigeria's food security goals. Above the headline story, reps probe $850 billion unremitted crude oil export proceeds. Investigates status of $460 million Abuja CCTV project. Terror alert, security agencies will thwart attacks. Ondo assures residents. Now, these are the header stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. Let's move on to other feature stories on the front page here. Federal government to invest $220 million in job creation for Nigerian youths. Federal government to invest $220 million in job creation for Nigerian youths. Assures workers of timely October pay amid IPPIS upgrade. Why we cut short 2-week strike by ASU. Tinubu okays 2-year tenure extension for Surveyor General. $450 million steel coy to begin operations in Ogun by 2026. And Nigerian breweries records 1.04 trillion naira revenue in 9 months. Elumelu underscores role of private sector as engine of transformation. Now, this is a splash story in red at the bottom of the Daily Independent. On the rider, Senate plans shifting burden of election petition proof to INEC. Nigeria's elections improved since PDP left, says Senate President Godswill Akpabio. You'd find picture of prominence capturing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu alongside Dr. Peter Mbah, governor of Enugu State, during the governor's visit to the presidential villa in Abuja on Wednesday. Well, let's see if we have that connection with Comrade Segun Ayola sorted out. Comrade, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, very loud, very clear. I can hear you, sir.
Well, it's still a little bit low, but you were making your points on the recent protest led by Omoyele Sowore and, of course, the deep-seated allegations of a possible release of a possibility of the federal government not wanting to release Nnamdi Kanu alive.
Yes, what I was saying before was protest is a responsibility of the citizenry. Anytime there is a protest, the reason behind is always the fact that the citizenry want to hold the government to account for their dealings with them. You know, it's a social contract between the elected and the electorate. And of course, if the electorate feels that the elected are not doing well, they call for, for accountability. That is what protest all over the world is known for. On this case for Kano Nnamdi, I support the protest. Of course, it has come and gone. It has been registered. Whatever that comes out of it, Nigerians are waiting. We expect that the government will listen, and then they will fast track whatever needed to be done leading to his release, and of course alive. That is what all Nigerians are expecting the government to actually come out with. And I hope the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do justice to that. He's a listener, and I'm sure he's going to listen to the appeal, to whatever it is that could lead to the, release of Kanu, because his detention has caused a lot of problem than solving it. So I think the government will listen at this time. The protests have been registered, and I'm sure something will be done.
Now, comrade, while on one hand, a lot of political observers are of the opinion that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu is taking rather too long and has transitioned from the late President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to President Bola Tinubu's administration, and there appears to be no headway in this. There appears to be no end to this prosecution. While others are calling for his release, people are also saying that he is the reason for the insecurity in the southeast as it stands right now, the insecurity and the killings in the southeast, even though Nnamdi Kanu has boastfully mentioned a lot of times that if he is released, the insecurity in the southeast will end in 2 minutes. How do you balance this all up while ensuring that an endless trial is put to an end eventually? We also don't release a man who is the cause of the wars in the southeast and will perhaps further aggravate the already tensed situation in that region.
Yes, the actions that leads to insecurity in the southeast is not without the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, and his arrest is not unlinked with the fact that he was the one that actually started the insecurity in the southeast. Why was he arrested? That was a question. He was arrested because he was against the politics of the day, the leadership, anything political. He was kicking against it. Southeast governors met him, and they came out to say their discussion was ended in deadlock. And then all the people that went to see him, tried to negotiate with him. It was altogether unacceptable. He refused that there should be no election. I don't know, going back to history, you will understand what Kanu Nnamdi was for at that time. He was not speaking for the people, neither was he speaking. He was speaking for himself and secession move. But it was not, something that government can fold its hand and just watch and allow it to play. And the whole thing was going into, bringing a full-blown insecurity. How was he arrested? He was arrested because of all of those insecurities that he caused already on ground at that time. But as we speak, he and all the followers seems to have learned their lessons. The sit at home was because of his arrest, was an aftermath of his arrest. The killings ongoing in Southeast that continued was not without his arrest. And now, I'm of the opinion that the government should release him and watch him go about his activities while still on the watch. So you can release somebody and still give him conditions, bail conditions. And of course, if he fails to abide by the rules, he should be rearrested. Where was he arrested? He wasn't arrested in this country. So wherever he is, Interpol can always fish him out. So the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should do something quickly to release this man so that peace we have been agitating for in the southeast. Many people have died to this effect, and it should be stopped henceforth. Let this man be released. Let him be given conditions. If he fails to meet up, let him be rearrested.
Now, during the protest, some of the individuals that were arrested include his brother as well as his lawyer, whom are both in detention at the Kuje prison as it stands right now, also awaiting the possibility of a prosecution, by the federal government. A lot of people have asked this question. Why did the lawyer join the protest knowing fully well that the case is in court? He should have known better, being a legal practitioner.
Well, it has to do with his disposition as a lawyer. He knows the law. So many times cases are in court. People will still go to the court and still go out to protest. You can burn your candles at both ends if you want to get, result on time. So maybe that was his intention, to ensure that justice is done quickly from the Justice Department, or that's the law, the judiciary, and from the public domain, public opinion. So I think what the lawyer did is not wrong. We have seen that happen in the US, we have seen that happen in other African countries, where cases are in court, people will feel agitated. Even the judiciary will also make reference to protests, civil unrest. Protests can lead to civil unrest. So their arrest is baseless, because individuals, civil organizations, and groups have the right to protest. So if the government don't want people to protest, let them do the right thing all the time. If you don't want people to complain, then do the needful. It's as simple as that. If everything is in order, nobody will complain. You went and arrest people who are protesting. Who does that? Where is it done? Any part of the world? They should be allowed. Even while the security teams are watching, these people, they are not armed. They were not causing any mayhem.
Comrade Shegun Ayula, if you recall, the broadcast of Radio Biafra before the arrest and detention of Nnamdi Kanu, of course, have been the major cause of the killings in the southeast. And I will repeat this over and over again. There have been recordings, audio recordings of broadcast on Radio Biafra where Nnamdi Kanu specifically called for the killing of individuals who flouted or violated the Monday sit-at-home order by him. He spoke in English and he spoke in Igbo, stating that if they think they are stubborn and they go about to open up their shops or open up their offices, that they will be slaughtered like animals. These recordings are all over the place. Do you still think that a man like that, who is deemed extremely dangerous, should be freed to walk the streets of Nigeria like every other citizen, or should he be treated like what he is, a terrorist?
Well, I have not listened to that recording, but my opinion is, when this recording was replayed, what did Nnamdi Kanu himself say about it? Number two,
well, he hasn't certainly stated anything.
So if he hasn't stated anything, how do we know that the recordings are linked to him? That's number one. Number two is the fact that...
Comrade Shegun, let us not feign ignorance. I wouldn't want us to feign ignorance. I personally have tuned into Radio Biafra before in the past, and I can assure you that the things I have heard on Radio Biafra are exactly the things that Nnamdi Kanu stated in those recordings. They were not recordings of conversations. These were broadcasts that were made on air, and he was specific. You flout the sit-at-home, Monday sit-at-home order, you get slaughtered like an animal. It's not even an allegation. We are not even insinuating. These are facts. Radio Biafra has been existing, and these statements and comments have been made by Nnamdi Kanu on air live.
Well, I join all the well-meaning Nigerians to condemn that, that broadcast, and of course that speech by Nnamdi Kanu. But the question is, like, where I was heading to is, when was that speech made? And the same speech, the same person, what is he saying now? Is he still saying the same thing? Has he repented? We have seen we have seen repentant Boko Harams walking in the street today. Some of them are even on payroll of state governors. What has happened? So what I am saying is, for anyone who at one point or the other contributed to insecurity of a place, should be given opportunity if the person has repented. And I don't think he's saying the same thing today as we see in the court. Look at the kind of people he's mentioning. Does it look like he has the precision of what he's talking about? I'm not saying that he's having psychiatric problem, but I am saying that whatever thing he is saying, if you check most of his statements in the court, you will see that there is no, connection.
He has recently opened up his defense, and he's now, he has listed quite a number of ministers, governors, and security chiefs, including the minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike. He had listed the Minister of Works and former governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer Dave Umahi, as well as former Chief of Army Staff, Yusuf Tukur Buratai, as witnesses in his defense. Why do you think that Nnamdi Kanu is now clinging to people whom are patriotic Nigerians, being that as the leader of IPOB, he has deemed himself time and time again not Nigerian, and has called for the secession of the southeast from the state of Nigeria?
Do you know that a call for a secession, is a crime against the state? A call for secession by individual, group, or association is a crime against the state. That was what he started. That was where he started from. And no state will fold its hand with all of these statements of secession and all of that. Now, he didn't stop there. He gave an order that anybody who disobeys the rule of sit at home should be slaughtered. Now, these are statements, and they are yielding results. Many people have lost their loved ones because of this law, this rule that he gave in the southeast. Now, what we are saying is that this man has been held for more than 10 years. What should be done? At least there must be something to be done. A clear look at his condition would show that he should be allowed to go and treat himself, and because most of the time he made comment even in the court that any day he is released, all the killings, whatever, all the people that were mentioned that are behind the killings in Southeast, he said he will call them to order and the killings will stop.
Can't he call them to order while still in detention? I believe that the world will hear him loud and clear. His followers will hear him loud and clear. And these individuals, these non-state actors that are responsible for the killings in the southeast, if he is really their leader that they adhere to, will stop the killings if in 2 minutes, as he stated, if he should call for an end to the killings.
Well, he belongs to this group. Their actions are connected to his detention. So what more can we say? The Nigeria as a state is bigger than any individual or group of persons, except they don't want to do the needful. I am of the opinion, like I said over and over, let this man be released. For the benefit of doubt, let him be set free. He will still be under watch of the security. They will determine his movement, but let him be released while he's still under watch list. And of course, they will give him the rule. If he disobeys, he will be rearrested. Number two, my opinion, where are those people? Are they spirits? These people who are involved in killing, are they spirits? Don't they have locations where they are carrying out their activities?
Well, one of them was arrested recently, General
so
Yahoo,
it's neither here nor there. Government should be decisive. Government should be deliberate about securing the life of the people. You cannot allow these people to die like that just because of a statement of Nnamdi Kanu, and his followers are carrying out what he has asked them to do, and then you are folding your hands without taking any actions against them. It doesn't make any sense. For my own opinion, the government should be decisive. It should be proactive. They should do something about the insecurity in the southeast. They shouldn't wait until their plans are carried out before they begin to take actions. I mean, the government of the southeast should be proactive. The federal government should extend federal presence, security presence in the southeast, ensuring that every life matters, even in the southeast and everywhere in Nigeria.
All right, Comrade Segun Ayola, let's move on to yet another matter. Quite interesting dispositions you have there concerning Nnamdi Kanu and the entire situation surrounding his detention, and of course the protest led by Omoyele Sowore recently demanding for his release. Another matter of national concern this morning is in the education sector, with ASU suspending its 2-week warning strike against the federal government, despite its demands not being met by the FG. However, on another part, the union has issued a 1-month ultimatum to the federal government to meet the demands of the 2009 pact between ASU and the federal government. Every time we talk about this, it appears to be an endless circle of industrial action, an endless circle of strikes by ASU every now and then. It's either a warning strike or a full-blown strike in itself. What do you make of this entire situation?
Yeah, I pray that we don't get to the level where we'll have a full-blown strike. I remember every government, right from Obasanjo in the days of Adams Oshomole, NLC, and Yaradua, Jonathan, Buhari, and then now we have Tinubu. Well, I think the only government that is lucky that we have not seen strike of institutions going, observing strikes and all that is this government of the day. I think if you check very well, why are we talking about our institutions, educations, going on strike almost every year? Students who are supposed to run the program of 4 years ended up running this program for 7 years. I was a victim at the time. My program was supposed to be 4 or 5 years. I ran it for 7 years, and it's not funny. And that was because of strike under Obasanjo and so on. What am I saying? What is the agitation of the university workers, the lecturers and the non-academic staff? What has been their agitation? What are they asking? Is it their salary, their allowances, and so on? Nigeria, doing a comparative analysis, if you compare Nigeria with other African countries, economically and politically, are we viable? If we are viable, and you do a comparative analysis of how educations in other African countries are taken care of, from, for example, the salaries of the workers, the allowances, and all that has to go with the benefits of being a worker in the education sector. And you begin to ask, compare Nigeria with South Africa, for example. What is the lecturer taking home as salary per month? And the non-academic staff, what are they taking home per month? When you do a comparison and you find that we are below, we are the giant of Africa, for God's sake. It shouldn't be about just saying it for saying sake. It should be, it should be matched with actions. How much are these lecturers taking home at the end of the month? Lecturing should be attractive. Payment should be attractive. People should want to go and teach in the education sector. They should be, they should prepare to go and teach. They should be happy to go and teach. Now the question is, how much are these people taking home compared to other African countries? You will see that the gap is too wide. So I am calling on the government of the day. You can do something. Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can do more. You can equip these lecturers, you can encourage them. You can make them better persons. You can make them proud of this job. Your government should change the narrative that, teachers' rewards are in heaven. The government of this day should ensure that they change the narrative. Is this so in other African countries? Is lecturers in the universities or education sectors going on strike in other African countries? When you check the statistics of our education performance, Nigerian doctors, Nigerian lawyers, you can mention them, they are the best. But yet, the lecturers, the teachers are not taken care of. I call on the president to please, Mr. President, you can change the narrative. Increase the salaries, allowances of university lecturers and non-academic staff of these higher institutions. Let them have joy doing their work. It is not a crime to be a lecturer. It should be a thing of joy. They should be proud. They should have something to fall back at, even after they have left this lecturing work.
ASU in itself
get to fully blown strike. Thank you very much.
Well, Comrade, ASU in itself had appealed to patriotic Nigerians and stakeholders in the education sector to prevail on the government to speedily conclude the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement and other outstanding issues. The union explained that it held meetings with the federal government team led by Yayale Ahmed on October 16th and 18th to review the government's response to the draft renegotiated 2009 FGN ASU agreement, adding that a follow-up meeting had been scheduled for further deliberations. Now, of course, this follow-up meeting is the reason why ASU had suspended the 2-week warning strike. But in essence, what is this 2009 agreement between FG and ASU, and why have successive governments not been able to address the issue and give ASU what it wants? If you take a look at it holistically, 2009 up until now is about 16 years. And the demands that this union has made for close to 2 decades have not been met. Even if these demands are being met, just imagine the impact it will have as it stands right now as opposed to the way it would have impacted lives back in 2009. What do you make of this entire fracas?
That is the point. That is the point. You had agreement with somebody in 2009. 16 years after, you have not carried out your own side of the agreement, which is an affront. is a betrayal, total betrayal on the part of the Nigerian government. And I think the president of the day should revisit the agreement. What has been agreed in 2009, my brother, you will agree with me, cannot buy anything in the market anymore. But they are still saying, go back to that agreement. They have been nice. They have been good. They didn't say they are changing the agreement. They are saying the agreement in 2009 should be carried out. If I were the president...
One of the things that the Minister of Education, talking about Dr. Tunji Alausa, had stated when this whole 2009 agreement between FG and ASU came up, is that there was never really a 2009 pact between the FGN and ASU. Rather, it was a proposal made by ASU to the federal government. How true is this?
Yeah, that is where I'm going. That's the next point I want to make. If there was no agreement, if it is an ordinary submission, a plea, a pact by the ASU that the government did not assent in signature or done any approval to that agreement, it is still not an agreement. But the thing is, can the government revisit that pact, that plea, that bargain? Can the government visit and look at it, dust it, and say, what is ASU asking for? Is it too much? What can we do to stop this, recurrent strike by the ASU almost every year? It's not giving us a good name. And that is what the government should do. Rather than pushing it here, it is not an agreement, it is a pact, it's a request, it has not been approved, and all of that. Who want to know all of that? What Nigerians want to know, if you have your children or your child in the university in Nigeria, you will agree that whatever it is that needed to be done should be done. And I'm very sure ASU is not asking for too much. Let me tell you, none of these university lecturers have their children schooling abroad because they can't even afford to do that. But here we have politicians who would even take their children out of the country.
When it comes to the issue of either schooling abroad or schooling in Nigeria, I don't even think in the first instance that a university lecturer or a professor should send their children out of the country to school, whereas they are institutions where they are also part of the system. And if these institutions are good, the institutions are being run by them, then their children should automatically, naturally, school in this system. Isn't that correct?
I agree with. Yes, it's correct. I agree with you. What I am saying, I'm trying to compare what the university lecturers are taking compared to what our politicians are taking. That is where I am going. Now, you begin to see the same institutions where these lecturers have their children schooling are going through this, almost forever strike since 1999. I've been hearing about ASU strike. It becomes synonymous with Nigerian education case. What I am saying again is the government of the day have a role to play. You cannot say that they are asking for too much. I don't think ASU is asking for too much. Let them check their requests, their demands. Even if they cannot meet up with all their requests, I know very well that ASU, they are human beings. They are members of this association are human beings. They are learned. They are lecturers, academic and non-academic staff. All of them put together. They are interested in the education of their children also. They are interested in the development and the growth of our education system. And they are not saying that the pact should be done or carried out 100%. But Can you try 50% of the requests? If you can do more, can you do 70%? Since 1999, we have not seen where ASU, as an association, have come out to thank the government of the day for carrying out or for playing.
Comrade, let's talk about the students this time around.
The development of our country.
There is a dynamic aspect of this discourse that we are neglecting. The students. We have talked about the part of the federal government and the failure of successive governments to meet the 2009 agreement, if there is any. We've talked about ASU consistently going on industrial action, going on strikes, you know, to relay their message home to the federal government. But we are forgetting the students and the impact that these strikes often have on the mindset of students concerning the education sector and the entire system in the country. How much of an effect does this have on Nigerian students?
Very negative, if you may ask me. Very negative effect. If you send your child to the university, every child that is admitted has a letter of admission. And in that letter is indicated how many years you are going to spend in the university. Some of these letters are not, you know, they are actually not valid. Not valid because you will spend more than the years that was written there. You are likely to spend, if you are to spend 4 years, you will spend close to 5, 6, 7 years. I just mentioned about my own case. The fact is, this student is supposed to spend 4 years. And in another 1 year, he will go for service. In another year, he may want to go for master's. So every child, every student have plans. Now, the strike has affected every child who is in Nigerian university. Now, people are finding their way to Ghana. People are finding their way to Cameroon. People are finding their way to our neighboring country after Lagos here.
But I don't think those universities there are any better than the education system we have here.
Say again?
I don't think those universities in Ghana, in Cameroon, in Benin Republic are any better than the, you know, high quality of education obtainable in Nigerian high institutions.
That is the problem. They are not better. But because of the time factor, you are supposed to spend 4 years. For example, if you are doing a social science course, you spend 4 years in the university. You are doing law, arts, and all of that. You may spend close to 5 to 6 years in the university. Is that so in other African countries like Republic of, what do you call it, Benin Republic? Is it so? I learned some people spend six months and they are certified to have finished their degree program. And I have also heard about so many other countries that their program is just 2 years. I mean, Nigerian government should do something to strengthen our education system, to encourage our youth, to also ensure that our education system is not left for it's not left in the hands of those who do not know what to do, who are confused. Either as a minister, you should know what to do. Either as PAMSEC, you should know what to do. A rector should know what, lecturers down to non-academic staff. At every point in time, they should know what to do. There should be something that brings them to book. There should be program that should run concurrently without any strike affecting them. There are universities in this country that don't observe strike. I don't know if you are aware. University of Ilorin, for example, is one of those universities that don't observe strike. Your child is in Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Nsukka. Your second child is in another university in Ilorin, and they gain admission the same year. The one in Ilorin has finished and has finished serving. And the one in Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Nsukka is still in 300 level. That's an insult. It discourages the Nigerian youth from gaining admission within the country. So it has a lot of negative tendencies, and government should be proactive about doing something about it. It should be deliberate about doing, and that should be done and on time. Let them arrest the situation and ensure that we have a better education system. And I know it is possible. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is capable of changing the narrative so that every child knows how many years he's going to spend in the university. Every child knows that after this time, I'll be going for my master's, and it should be so.
All right, Comrade Shegun Ayola, we have about 10 minutes to wrap up this discussion on Morning Express. Let's move on to yet another matter of concern. This time around, it's not insecurity, it's not education, but rather food security. There have been concerns of farmers' inability to access loans and facility from traditional banks due to the high level of interest rate. And this has been attributed to the rate of food insecurity that we have in the country. How do we balance this up while ensuring that the banks are in for business? They also don't, strangle these farmers who are just seeking for small loans to be able to go to their farms, to be able to afford seedlings, to be able to run their businesses properly.
Yeah, thank you. It's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. And my take is simple. Those who have taken the loans for agriculture, what have they done with it? I have some records, but it's not necessary here, of people under the government of Buhari who were able to get credit facilities, loan from banks. What did they do with the money? They added new wives, they got new apartments, they bought new cars, and then their lifestyle changed, living in one hotel to another.
Are these allegations confirmed? Because you mentioned that you have some facts, but they are not
yes, I have records.
Could you at least tell us where you got these facts from? Where did you get this information about these individuals buying cars, buying houses, getting married to more wives, and doing other things with the monies that have been given to them other than putting it in agriculture?
Exactly. The Bank of Industry would tell you that. NISA is a microfinance bank under Central Bank of Nigeria. They will tell you that. I was a victim simply because let me be very, very vehement here, because I wasn't happy. I was maltreated. Simply because my name, I don't have a Muslim name within my names. One of my colleagues who applied and got told me, he said, that is my crime. If not, I would have brought...
Comrade Shegun Ayola, when you make some of these statements, it's important to be mindful because when you make allegations like this, there has to be substantive facts and evidences to back your statements. You said that you were maltreated. I had asked by who. You did not answer that. And then you went ahead to say that you were given a separate treatment because you didn't have a Muslim name in your name.
Yes. Yes.
I beg to differ, but I don't think Nasal was established on the basis of giving out microfinance loans to individuals who have a certain religion in the country.
I have my facts. Let the CBN...
We would have loved for you to present these facts with evidences.
I'm doing that right away. Away. Let the CBN ask the management of NISA, Microfinance Bank. Let them come out with their documents of those that have received loans. You will see names of over 95% of Muslim. I have my facts. This is confirmed, and I can tell you, if the management of CBN invite the management of NISA,
Comrade Shegun Ayola, I would have preferred that as you are speaking, there is some sort of document with you to back this up. So I would rather we not toe this part. Rather, when you are ready with your facts and evidences in document form, you might want to tender it to us, and then we'll also assess it, and then we can have the discussion in depthly. But other than that, it wouldn't be proper to just lay mere allegations on the CBN or lay mere allegations on NASAL or even the federal government concerning this matter. We are talking about, smallholder farmers being able to access loans from traditional banks to be able to help their farming businesses. That is where the focus is, not on whether or not there is a preferential treatment to Christians or to Muslims when giving out these loans.
It's all right. Thank you very much. So let's go straight to our focus. Now, the question is, most people that got this loan, they use it otherwise. Today, NISA, for example, is unable to, to receive repayment of the loan that we're giving out. As we speak, at the close exit of the former government, the former president from the Nigerian government, that is about 4 years ago, they stopped giving out the loans because they are unable to receive back the repayment of these loans that were given to the people. Some of the people that received the loans, like I told you, lifestyle changed and all of that, they couldn't pay back. Now they have stopped. Now, there are also serious-minded Nigerians who wish they could receive this loan. They are coming out to ask for the loan, but they have businesses they should do. You will go, they will tell you, they will direct you to go and get a training on a particular trade you are applying for this loan. After you have done all of that, you will still be unable to access the loan. Serious-minded people who have a trade, who have business, agriculturally, they are not encouraged. Now the question is, another question is, the interest rate by commercial banks when they give you loan is so high that individuals, associations who went ahead to collect these loans will not be able to pay. They won't be able to pay back. Even to recoup the capital is a problem. And the interest will also be on the increase. So the problem is not only on the banks, the problem is not only on the individuals, the problem is also on the government that refuse to checkmate how these loans are given and how these loans should be recovered and at what percentage are you giving this loan. So I can assure you, by this time next year, there will be full scarcity. There will be full scarcity. Why? The reason is because the farmers who are serious, so many of them who pay back cannot also access because the doors have been shut. So how do you access, how do you go back to agriculture after you have repaid your loan and then the doors have been shut because there are some people who refuse to pay? You shut the door against everybody. So how do you access the loan in the first instance? So that will affect our food production come year 2028.
All right, Comrade Segun Ayola, quite a very interesting take there, and it's a fine place to leave the discuss and close up the discussion on Morning Express. We must thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the program, and we'll be looking out for those facts of yours. We would love to have those documents and have you back on the program to substantially defend these claims and allegations that you have leveled against the CBN, NASAL, and indeed the federal government.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Comrade. Well, that has been Comrade Segun Ayola speaking to us on matters of national interest in Morning Express. This is as much as we can take on the program this morning. At the top of the hour, it will be time for ADBN Sports, and we will be handing you over to our Uyo studios for that. Do well to stick around. It promises to be sporty. It promises to be punchy. My name is Chijioke Akafo. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next time.
for your news on the go. ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms. An Apple TV app, ADBN Channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Linux Well TV app. To get the latest news straight to your phone, join our WhatsApp TV channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across social media handles. On X at ADBN TV, Instagram at ADBN TV, Facebook ADBN TV, YouTube ADBN TV. Keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Hey, Hamed, did you hear that a meteorite will be landing near our school tomorrow?
Really? That sounds exciting. But Nkechi, where did you hear that?
Well, Mr. Frumpet told me, and he said it's true.
I just checked on the internet now, and it's not true. There is no report of a meteorite coming this way.
Huh? Are you sure?
Yes, Nkechi. And really, you shouldn't believe everything that you hear without checking the facts first.
Hello, friends. You know it's important to verify all information before spreading it, right?
But how do we do that?
Well, Nkechi, we can start by checking reliable sources like books, newspapers, or asking adults who have knowledge and expertise on the subject.
Or go online like I just did. It's quite easy actually.
Yes, Ahmed. We should be like the truth seekers, finding evidence before sharing anything.
Thanks, Captain Excellence. From now on, I will always double check before spreading any information.
Good job. Remember, knowledge is power, and spreading the truth is always the best choice. By fact-checking information before spreading it, you can make a big difference.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on ADBN TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
across the continent of Africa and, of course, across the Atlantic. Let's put perspectives to it. Now, in the country of Nigeria, second-tier club football for men, the Nigerian National League is just a few days to kick off, and preparations are in top gear. For Akwa Ibom, we've got 3 teams participating in that particular league. Gochelapabi United, Akwa United, and Dakar FC. And on the show this morning, we'll look at the latest journey for some of these teams, particularly Gochelapabi United, who were in Aba yesterday for a pre-season friendly against the People's Elephants record. NPFL title holders talk about Enyimba FC of about 9-time champions of the NPFL. We'll look at that particular journey as well. We'll expand the conversation to the Under-17 Women's World Cup taking place, where Olowokere's girls yesterday took on France. What was the results and what's the journey ahead in Europe? The UEFA Champions League we shared last night in all its glory with some very cracking fixtures, and it's been a good week for the Champions League. 71 goals scored, the most for any match week in the UEFA Champions League. So we'll look at some of the key names, including Victor Osimhen, that dotted goals all around Europe yesterday, and went by telling you what's happening in Tokyo, and of course what's happening with the ATP with the last lap of tennis action before we see the ATP finals and the